Hello, Uganda. Good evening and welcome to the show On the Spot. My name is Patrick Kamara. Tonight we look into the 2026 elections roadmap. And the NRM party early this week released its 2026 roadmap, and so are other parties. The Electoral Commission will be doing the display of the voters register beginning next week. So it appears Ugandans and those who are interested in leading are in full throttle, trying to look for a mandate to lead. So tonight we'll be looking into that roadmap. How prepared are the parties to ask for a mandate to lead from the voters in Uganda? I'll be introducing my panel very shortly. Evaluating preparations within political parties, I have the following guests. I have the Honorable Captain Francis Babu, who is a political analyst. Thank you so much for joining us, Honorable Captain Francis Babu.
Good evening.
I have the Member of Parliament representing Mawogola County South, the Honorable Goret Namuga. Thank you so much for joining us.
Good evening, dear viewers.
And also I have the Member of Parliament representing Buikwe South, Member of Parliament Dr. Lulume Bayiga.
Thank you very much, Kamara. Good evening, viewers.
So let me begin with you, who is my immediate left right here, Captain Francis Babu. Take us through you're one of the contestants, I'm told, by the way. This time around. Yeah? That you in the party structures of
within the party.
Within the party, yes. Take us through the keynotes in this roadmap, especially primaries, the dates and nomination fees that are hiked.
Yeah, well, the dates are here.
Yes.
It's quite a long thing, really.
Okay.
I brought it for you so that you can look at it, or you can give it to them. Secondly, the fees are here, the different fees for different people who are standing.
In some cases, in the top positions, the fees have increased by 100%.
Yes, it has.
And why is that?
Before you do that, I want to wish everybody a happy Easter.
Okay.
Starting with you.
Thank you.
And my panel friends. Happy Easter.
Thank you.
I wish everybody who's watching us a very happy Easter during this holy weekend. I wish, in fact, in Tanzania, there's something new that has come up. They say, Yesu asifiwe, then they say, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Meaning all the religions are what?
Okay.
Are put together. So from that point of view, a roadmap is something that is drawn over a period of time, and they give the different time limit when people can go and show their interests. First of all, the party itself, the structures, the different levels. And then the primaries, for those who want to get offices, starting with the councillors all the way up to the members of parliament, including the president. So this is the roadmap which I've showed you. It's quite a lengthy thing. And yesterday, the Secretary General and the Chairman of Electoral Commission in NRM, they gave this roadmap to all the media groups. They have got it. So really to go over it will not be fair for all the other members. And secondly, you talked about the fees. Now, let's talk about these fees very quickly. The fees you see here is a contribution towards the big amount. The last time when they had election, NRM spent about 32 billion shillings. This came to about 7.5 billion. So it's a token to contribution towards the election. And they are saying that they wish it could be more, but the party itself saying no. The reason they do this, first of all, the majority of members of NRM do not pay. It's only the members of parliament and a few councillors who do pay. And then the president and a few others, they ask well-wishers to support the party. Basically, that's the reason why they do that. The roadmap is important because people have to know where they are going, what they are going to do during that period. And the different parties have different methods of doing this. With NRM, they are going to have the national conference, where members of the party will be elected at different levels. There will also be youth leagues, women, businessmen, and so on and so forth. So all these are in this roadmap. The most important thing about the roadmap is to give you to know where you're going, and you start preparing yourself if you want to go. There's a lot of comments about this, but every year, every time we have elections, they always have those comments. They are standard comments. Which is not bad. It's good people to ask questions and get answers. That is basically what the roadmap is all about.
Okay.
Now, elections are going to be there every 5 years, and I'm happy they are there, because at one time, there are times when there was no election. Now the elections are there every 5 years. Take it or leave it, it's going to be there. So the parties have to prepare themselves and make sure they have the right candidate. Parties have two functions. First of all, they give us their program, what they want to do when they go in government. Secondly, they give us leaders. They actually tell us, these are the best leaders. Now, NRM, actually those who will go through the primaries will also be given money to pay to the Electoral Commission, and they might be given a small, you know, if you like, give them some little amount during the campaign of the different posts. This is basically what this roadmap is all about. I think it's good to have it out so that people know and they start preparing themselves.
Honorable Namuga, are you going back to Mahogola South County to ask the people of Mahogola to hire you again?
For how long have I served? It's a period of 1 term. I'm 4 years old in Parliament. Do you think I'm too old to really give up? I've just joined the leadership, but I think I still have the energy.
You're just warming up?
Yeah, I still have the energy to serve the country. But allow me greet Ugandans and everyone who spares time to watch this show. It's you who makes us, you know, powerful and energetic to really prepare ourselves to come and present to you. I also join my colleague, the Honorable Babu, to wish all the Ugandans a happy Easter, and especially our leaders. You know, when it comes to leadership, it's a very big challenge, though I normally tell people, you must pray for your leaders all the time, because when we have good leaders, we automatically benefit as a country. That's why this time round we are talking about, you know, roadmaps of different political parties. The main interest is to have us serve our country, the mandate of giving social services to the people. I also wish to inform the country that as National Unity Platform, we still have able-bodied leaders. You know, we still have our president serving, His Excellency Robert Kyagulanyi Ssentamu. We have our secretariat, our Secretary General, Louis Rubongoya. I want to thank them. You know, we've just gone through the hot springs of Kawempe. Kawempe was a hassle, it was a war. Everyone can attest to that. But I want to thank them for their leadership. The reason as to why I'm mentioning such is because NUP has gone through a lot. But Kawempe, to me, it was simply too much. Because I was in it, I saw it, I mean, it wasn't an election. How I wish 2026...
Does Honorable Namuga, does Kawempe point to the kind of election we're likely to have? Does that scare you to that extent that we are going to be clobbered, we are the fourth estate, but also that you are also going to be flogged like we saw in Kawempe? What does it point to?
No, that is how it has been, only that Kawempe was a bit unique. Everyone was focused to the same, only one area. Everyone had, you know, internationally, locally, all eyes were set in Kawempe to see how the elections would go about. So I want to inform our colleagues in the ruling part that let's hope, as we do prepare for elections, let's hope we are preparing for an election, not a war. Our colleagues, yeah, you know, we need to be honest, because if every Ugandan sits out there to listen to what we are talking about, one would question, do we really still have elections? Does Honorable Babu and his colleagues still believe that we operate under multi-party dispensation? So, I mean, we need to have a leveled ground. But these of our colleagues think for them they are at liberty to operate, and these other political parties must be suffocated. So, you know, NRM has, for now, Mr. Museveni has started campaigns, much as they are telling you it's...
But you know, Honorable Namuga, what is very amazing is that despite what you went through against all odds, you were able to get a resounding victory in Kawempe, in fact, almost doubling the second person who came next. So, if you are going to use this as some kind of a dry rehearsal, then you're home and dry next January.
I don't think you've made a right analysis, because if you look at the number of voters for Kawempe, it was 28,000. 28,000 versus close to 200 voters.
200,000.
200,000. Honorable Segirinya in the elections of 2021 got 41,000 votes. Narukola, Honorable, the candidate, I mean the MP for Kawempe North now got 17,000. So, I mean, it's only 14% of the people of Kawempe that voted. You had a true number of voters of 28,000 versus, actually, it was a very big reduction from close to 80,000 that voted in the previous elections, 2021. So it is a scare to all Ugandans, and it's incumbent upon the opposition especially to encourage people to turn up for voting. You know, for Honorable Babu and his colleagues, they're happy because whenever the voter turn-up is very low, that is their game. You know, it is easier to rig an election that where the voters have not turned up. So I want to encourage all Ugandans to turn up for the voting. However, if I get back to to the roadmap of the different political parties, as I've prior said, we need to, the NRM should allow to have a level ground. You know, we are not asking for permission from them, though they think that we must ask. We are a law-abiding party as no, but at times we are constrained beyond. You've seen marchers, we try to be disciplined during our rallies, during our mobilization meetings. I mean, we are failed. For example, they have just issued a letter now. I don't know whether you've seen it. They have stopped all the NUP engagements, alleging that when we went to Mbale, we did not follow the stipulated guidelines according to the police, the Inspector General of Police. So for now, NUP is not going to conduct any mobilization and any activity of the sort.
Okay.
So
Honorable Namuga, if you can hold on your point. Let me go to Dr. Lulume with all respect. Dr. Lulume, you're from the Democratic Party, but sometimes we'd ask which Democratic Party, because the President General is busy executing the manifesto of the NRM and serving as an alternate general. And just 2 days ago, yesterday, I saw you know, men and women of substance in DP, I think from Chotera, who were being unveiled at Makerere Kavula, the NUP headquarters. That everybody seems to be running out of DP. Are you also contemplating to move?
Well, in DP what is happening is that we have a party which has been annexed. It has been captured by the state by capturing the would-be party president, and is under the armpits of the president of this country, and he moved on with our files. He's suffocating the party.
I'm sorry, I have to laugh. It's moving with the file.
You should laugh. you laugh at us, please.
So all your particulars are somewhere in Chadolu.
So you have somebody who is holding out as a party president, but is in the armpits of the president of this country, enjoying wines and eating meat and everything, while he's suffocating the party. This is anti-democratic, and everybody should really, everybody serious who is thinking about democracy in this country should rebuke this president, the president of NRM, and the president of this country, for suffocating democracy of other parties, competing parties. It is unprecedented, and he's very proud about it, and his functionaries will celebrate that then the Democratic Party is with us, yet they know that this is an opposition party, independent of the state. So where do I belong? I belong to the Democratic Party without Norbert Mao at the helm. And while he's still holding out, he's still in office because he's recognized by the agencies of the state, including the Electoral Commission, who should be the regulator of political parties. But they don't care. They don't care how parties are functioning, whether the democratic spaces are being enjoyed by the members of the Electoral Commission doesn't care. Even when you petition the Electoral Commission, that how are you dealing with a party president who is signatory to our accounts? How are you dealing with him? Yet he swore to serve the government and took an oath of minister and bound by collective responsibility of government, of cabinet.
So are you, in the coming election, are you going to seek the mandate from the people of Buikwe South, but first of all by getting into the primaries and getting the flag of the Democratic Party? And who is going to give you a flag if you don't recognize the President General Mao? The
first thing that we are doing, an election roadmap has been fomented by them, and we are following it religiously. We shall have a delegates conference on the 30th of May to the 1st of June, and I will stand as president of the party, push him overboard so that he can join his master. Then the party will be in safe hands and proceed
You as a monumental challenge, because even before you think of liberating Uganda, you have a party to work for,
yes,
to try. You is a huge challenge. In fact, a few months ago, you actually called yourself party president of the Democratic Party.
Yes, I have been caretaker.
You know that was masquerading.
I have been party caretaker Because the other one went away.
Who elected you party caretaker?
So you were an active
Under what
party
circumstances did you become?
I was pronounced by my
Who?
my colleagues.
Under what circumstances? Is that the legal?
Oh yeah, because when you lose your father and you are the elder brother, what happens? Do you go to the graveyard and continue weeping? You say, okay, dear fellow orphans, let us see how we can proceed, how we can feed ourselves, how the rest can go to school, and so on. And that is those are the circumstances.
So you're not any different,
law.
like one gentleman I saw declaring himself president after swearing in the bush. You saw it yourself.
Even President Museveni was a president when he was still in the bush. Did you know that? Didn't you know that? So there must be some kind of leadership, because there cannot be a vacuum if it is created, and that is what is exactly. You can call me masquerader, but
Honorable Norbert Mao was holding a press conference on Balintuma Road in Rubaga Division, and before that, Mr. Lamanu Olakero Pio, the spokesperson of DP, was holding another press conference. There is a party of the Democratic Party that is standing, that is running, that is recognized. So it is you who has veered off.
Have I said that it is not recognized? I have said that it is recognized by the state and its agencies, which should be regulating it.
Okay.
I said these agencies, the regulators, ought to have taken cognizance of the abnormal way the party operates. When you have got somebody who swore to serve government, who swore to abide by collective responsibility of cabinet, somebody actually practically who crossed the line to another party, holding out to be a president of another party in opposition of a government is serving. That's abnormal. That's abnormal.
No.
How did you dazzle Mao to come to NRM?
No.
How do you go to a president general of another party?
No, I think there's
Uganda's oldest
I'm
party.
sorry, there's a lot of propaganda here, and I want to go back in the history of this country and show you that when NRM came in power, several DP members were part of the cabinet.
That was a movement system.
No, let me finish. There was a man who was the President General. He was a Minister of Internal Affairs. There was a Minister of Finance. There was a Minister of Marketing. These were all members of DP. You can have a national unity government by having people from other parties. Now, I disagree with methods that some people are using. Before Mao went into trying to work with the NRM, there were people who had left the party and formed something called SUBI from DP. And they said they didn't want the way Mao was elected. Now, if we go on into these things, you are going to find that actually there is sectarianism being practiced against Mao. We have to be honest. If you want Mao not to be the President General of DP, they have a constitution, and you call for a delegate conference, and like he said, you stand. There's no problem. But to sit there and bring Mao down is not fair. First of all, Mao is a leader of Uganda, of a different party, but I have a lot of respect for him. I knew him from university. I knew him in parliament as a young parliamentarian. I knew him as a chairman of LC5 in the north. I've seen him become the President General of a party. Now, if they have a problem within the party, I don't want to interfere in it. They should try and settle it in a much better way and ask Mao to sit down with them and come to some sort of solution. But him serving in the government remains a DP. He has not said he's NRM. He has said, I'm still the DP and I'm operating. And in fact, the other day, I think somehow he said very soon he wants to get out. As far as I'm concerned, I think it has been exaggerated. Anybody, and from UPC, we have somebody in government, and we have people in who can come from different parties and operate in the government. Now, to be so negative, to refuse to serve your country in one way or the other is not fair.
Okay.
Now, let me go to... I want to say something about...
Let me go to Namuga, because is it possible that if you have a political party, I'm sure you have different viewpoints, different ideological, orientation. You're grounded differently. Is it possible that you can be NUP but also be in NRM, and because you want to serve Uganda, and parties ideologically so different that it is not easy for you to join forces and work, especially now if you have an incumbent government that is being accused of human rights violation, of the harassment, of all these things. How do opposition political parties again work with the system?
You cannot be a Catholic Muslim. That cannot happen. But I mean, I think it's the NRM that has vulgarized politics, because methods of political parties working for the interest of the country were put in place. We used to have, was it called the iPod? We used to have the iPod as a platform for political parties to come together and share ideas. Remember, if somebody wins an election, no matter how he has won it, and declared a president, you must appreciate other political parties, because I told you we are under multi-party dispensation. The ruling party's responsibility is not to suffocate other political parties the way it is in the current government. So, if you discard all those avenues that are put in place to ensure that we strengthen multi-party system in this country, then we lose it all. Because we ought to have had an opportunity to sit on a round table and share ideas, which is not, forthcoming. For the current government, you must be with them, or else they must play that on you. So for the Honorable Norbert Mao, we would have loved to see him work in DP, but putting this government to task the way the opposition is. Our role is to keep government in check. Actually, not to work with it. Keep it in check. As simple as that. And keeping them in check is working together, because the interest is to have the people of Uganda get services. That is our interest. But when you take the current trend of the NRM, for them it's about selfishness. It must be us, not somebody else. That is why you see this government has turned itself into, Mr. Museveni and colleagues is a king somewhere, and he has turned it to using public resources to buy off. For him, it is cheaper to buy off the Democratic Party than working for the people. You see how they've suffocated FDC. Divide them, make sure that they fight between themselves using public resources. Money has divided political parties all over. You will turn out and say, why do they get it? But why do we have a devil using our own money? So for me, I think we need to come back and rethink about, are we interested in building a future for our children? Why are we taking this direction? Are we going to survive in it after Mr. Museveni? What is going to happen? A period of 40 years serving an individual who cannot even account for the little money that has been paid, the taxpayers' money. You can't account for it. So for me, I think the Honorable Babu and team, they have a lot of homework. Actually, they are pretending to have given a roadmap, but it is not a roadmap as such. It has become a norm to pass through all these processes for the sake of, it must be done. Okay.
So, Honorable Dr. Lulume, with all that background that you have, with the political baggage that you have in your party, what kind of impact do you think you're going to make in this general election that's coming in 2026?
First, before I talk about what we can achieve, let me first of all correct my elder, Captain Babu. For him, working as a minister in government is what he terms service. I serve government as an opposition leader to keep government in check. That is my service to government. To keep government in check as an opposition leader, not leader of opposition, a leader in the opposition. You can call it an opposition MP if you want. Is a service that is paid for by the people of Uganda. To be leader of a party in opposition, to generate ideas that can correct the trends within government, is a service paid for by the people of Uganda through the Political Parties and Organizations Act and how parties are being financed. Every MP contributes 50 million per annum to run these political parties. They don't ask you how much is going to the president or whatever it is. That's your business. You must account for it. So it is a service to be on opposition. So when somebody comes up here at Captain Babu, whom I respect so much, as an elder who has been very articulate, has been a minister, and he thinks that he's going to arm twist us by accepting that there is tribalism in our party, which has been led by somebody for 15 years, tolerated by everybody, like it has tolerated people like Semogerere or Sevanachis or different religions coming from different backgrounds, because he wants to make a political score against the Democratic Party using Norbert Mao as a pawn. That's unfair. That's unfair of Captain Babu to say so, the man I respect that way. But let me say this, to keep a knee on the neck of the Democratic Party and to make it less functional and keeping internally squabbling for space is what Museveni has done to us for the last 4 years, since he annexed our party through Norbert Mao, who sought a job of a minister.
So you were in the boys' quarters or the main house?
We are in a toilet, struggling to get out of it. You cannot laugh at us. But we shall continue to fight for our space, and we are being heard. And I also guess.
You really think you'll have an impact?
And I also guess.
You really think you'll have an impact in this general election?
Why would you think that the management of NTV would bring me on the spot? Because they want me to be heard. And I am so grateful about that. Because I must fight for the space. And the Ugandans out there who are seeing me fighting for this space, articulating to them that it is possible. It is possible. We shall go through what they have organized, and we shall beat them in their own game. And that is what our membership wants to hear. And we are asking them to get into the trail, go out of the trenches and go and fight for this space. Let us get rid of the people who have bedeviled us, who have committed us into something that we are not interested in, who are committing us into spaces where we cannot really function. But then to come up, go and
before
vote.
Norbert Mao joined or got a cooperation agreement with the NRM, members of the Democratic Party were actually scattering out of DP. You have the Lord Mayor already
That's
moved.
right.
You have the Honorable Maiko Mabiki had already gone. You have the Honorable Mukaku had gone.
You see,
so your party, people have been moving.
They have been moving out because...
even before the cooperation agreement.
Yes, because of bad leadership. Because of bad leadership. People who do not accept others within the party. They think that you must be dominated.
Okay.
Now, the other thing which I wanted to correct, there are ways in which parties can work together, and it is there are constitutional provisions to that effect. And cooperation agreement, in the way it was fomented by President Museveni and Mao, is not one of them. In other words, this is an issue which should be of a constitutional nature, but which the constitution provision were circumvented to create an avenue to annex a party. And that's why we went to court, and this is a matter before the constitutional court, and we are waiting for a judgment.
All right, Honorable Captain Francis Babu, the Electoral Commission will be doing the exercise of displaying the voters' register. But your own yellow book or your own register has about 19.6 million, I don't know whether they are voters or supporters or people of NRM. Almost the numerical strength is as big as the National Electoral Commission register. Really? What magic did you do? What a miracle it is that all the voters are NRM voters in your register.
Well, that is what the Secretariat compiled. And if there are mistakes in there, they're bound to be. But let us be...
There are bound to be some mistakes.
Yeah, there are bound to be mistakes when you have such a big mistake. Somebody has to sit down and explain it even better. That one is I've never agreed with some of these things, even the national one. Forget about the one of NRM. If you take Kampala, for example, if you take the register and you take down the CBD here, Central Business District, when NRM came here, a lot of people lived in the CBD, if you remember. But over a period of time, they have moved into the urban, urban area, and then they've left and they've gone to the areas that surround the city. Some of these registers have not been amended. We still have a lot of mistakes in them. When people die, when people move away. Sometimes they don't correct them very well.
But that's the purpose of having a voters
They do.
display of the voters register
They take them there.
at every polling station.
And there are two things. There are another two areas which they must look for. Even other people infiltrate the register. Other people infiltrate your register because they want to come and vote during your primaries. They're there. So NRM has to sit down and look at their register very carefully. And your question is very good and very valid. I want to say this too, that the registers, we need to sit down and look at them very seriously, all of us, whether it's a party register, whether it is the Electoral Commission register. There's a lot of errors in these registers, and we need to look at them very seriously. Now, after I have left that, have you heard of something called bipartisan elections? Bipartisan parties working together? Have you heard about that?
Yeah, working across the political aisle.
You've heard about it. Have you heard about South Africa, where the opposition has now come and works with the government? Yeah,
but I think that's a parliamentary democracy. So if you win, if you don't have enough members to make government, you'll have to cooperate.
If I think that the DP's got some very good leaders and I'm a leader of a country, why should I leave a good leader who can be a good minister? Because he belongs to another party. And I do not agree with this word opposition. Opposition is supposed to work for the country, not only to oppose. If there is something good brought by government, opposition also supports it. If there's something which is not good, and you're already a minister in that government, you can tell the leaders in that cabinet that this is not correct. So you can still give your ideas, whether you are in the cabinet or outside the cabinet. To me, there has been a misunderstanding with the word opposition. Some people believe opposition is live or die. No, opposition in the Westminster system of government, because here we mix the two. In the Westminster system of government, where you have Labour on one side and you have the Conservative on the other side, you'll find that during a time where they have to be together, they come together for the sake of the country. Now, if there is a good minister, in my sincere opinion, forget about people who have got conspiracy theories. This will happen, that will happen. No. If Namuga here, for example, if I was a leader of the government, Namuga here would make a good minister.
Namuga would say, no, thank you.
No, she will not. She will not, because I'll talk to her. I'll make her a good minister.
Okay,
now, I was just giving you that as an example. Now, there's a misunderstanding, opposition. I see there's rigidity here. But let me tell you, yes, I agree. Now, there's a problem with the present system within Uganda. First of all, we said we shall have a presidential system. In the parliament, we should not have had opposition and government, we should have had minority and majority. But now we have opposition and that. So we have a Westminster parliament, we have a presidential system. We need to sit down and sort all these things out. To me, whether the man is in opposition, if he's a good politician, he will work for the country.
All right, hold on to a point there. Let me go to Honorable Correct Namuga. And I want to bring back the issue of the NRM voters register, or the NRM yellow book that contains 19.6 million voters there. That alone, if they turned up on election day, it's a game changer.
If you can recall, this would have made wonders in Kawempe. Yeah, I mean, they had close to 200,000 voters in Kawempe. That is why their candidate even relied on them and said, if I can get just a quarter of what is within our register, automatically I would win this election. So where did the people go? Yeah, for you to only have 8,000, where did the others go? However, I want to a little react to Honorable Babu's submission in regard to the opposition and how we give service. I want to inform the country that we would have been a useful opposition if we had a ruling party that believes in a multi-party dispensation. I can give you an example. We go to parliament, we have the opposition, we have the ruling party. We automatically have alternative views. Do you know what a serving and winning government would do? The opposition brings alternatives, look through them, and you see how to consolidate, come up with something that helps the country. But our colleagues connive to do what is good for them. I can take you back to the coffee bill, which is now an act. Did they have to beat people? Was that called for? Why did we agree on the anti-homosexuality bill, which is now an act of parliament? Why did we agree on that? So our colleagues must know that our interest is to serve this country, but they must appreciate the proposals of the opposition. I heard sometime back the Honorable Nabanga, while she was in Kawempe, she said, you know, the reason as why you have not been served here, it's because you have an MP that cannot reach within the president's bedroom. I asked her, are we there to go to Mr. Museveni's bedroom to serve this country? So if you still have a prime minister who can take that direction, I mean, it is an embarrassment to this country. So Honorable Babu and the entire team must go back on the drawing board if they so wish. I mean, they must rethink of a clear line on how they should lead this country. However, they must make good use of the opposition. We've always had alternatives. I can give you an example. I was with him on the budget committee. We came out when these people had allocated resources. We said, no, why can't we take this direction? One time, the presiding officer said, for you, yours is just informatory. It is, you just tell us, you know, we have the majority. And this can be, it can be evidenced from the Auditor General's report, where the executive implements only 31% of the recommendations of Parliament for the last 5 years. So if anybody is there and has the perception that NRM government can give you services, I mean, it's a lot deal. It's a lot deal for the side of Ugandans, and it's a pity that we've been with the Honorable Babu and his entire team for the last 40 years. So as I come back to their register, I think it has been contested even by their own. And one would question, where are these people? Where are they? Even I had some MPs. At one time I was on some TV station with some MP, and he questioned it was Mulindwa Rogers. He asked, where did we get all these people? It was Honorable Musira. Where do we have all these? I'm looking in my area, but even the population that I have doesn't constitute what you've given in the party register. So I think the NRM must come out with a clear picture, and I think their intention is to show the president that we have supporters, and this is where they miss it. But for us, I think it's an advantage to us, because whenever they don't take a true picture of what they are supposed to be, I mean, they remain in that blackout. Okay. So to us, it is better, I mean, it is to our advantage that it helps us to organize. That's why we normally win them, and they just rig elections. He has told you that, you know, the NRM, we are, you know, there is a margin of error. But I mean, Honorable Babu, you believe, you cannot, I don't know, you can give us a history of how many voters they did have previously in the previous register. What did they have? But last time I had, they said the the former Prime Minister, the former Prime Minister, former presidential, Mama Mbabazi went with the register. So I don't know whether, I last heard that he went with the register. I don't know whether he finally got it. So that is the NRM for you. But I would encourage him that, you know, they need to even think about their party headquarters. At times you pass through Chadon and look at those yellow containers, and you know, if you feel sorry for a government that has been in service for the last 40 years, and people have been contributing money the way they are going to contribute in this election, they raise the fees. What do you use the money for? So, Honorable Babu, you have a lot of... they don't have. They rent. A ruling party for the past 40 years. They are still renting. So you have a lot of homework, my brother. No future. You still have a lot of homework. And that is how they are securing our future. You want to secure the future of Ugandans when you cannot secure yours. Okay.
You've hit hard, haven't you? Dr. Lulume, I think on the 30th of May,
no, but I wanted to give you a little view.
Okay, okay. Quickly before we take a break.
Yeah, I think if President Museveni was serious about securing his party for the future, he should be firing some of the people who misinform him and misinform the party, the NRM party. But for them, it is a precursory message on how many votes they would want to allocate Mr. Museveni when he stands for president. So this is the precursor. So that people get used to the idea that they are many in the party, and therefore if at all they elected, they will elected en masse, and therefore whoever they elect is going to get a very big chunk of the national vote, which is not true, but they just want you to get used to the idea that there are so many, and therefore winning an election is not a difficult thing. For them, that they would want to exist in that fantasy world of spin, and they want us to exist in that, in the same way. We get used to that. Then when they allocate themselves a very big vote, people pretend that they are not surprised that happened. But fortunately, we are able to articulate this. We are able to analyze for them so that they know that they are fooling themselves.
All right. Honorable Dr. Lulume, Honorable Captain Francis Babu, and Honorable Namuga. Gentlemen and lady, we're going to take a break, and on the spot, we'll be right back. Welcome back. You're watching On the Spot. My name is Patrick Amara. My guests tonight are Honorable Captain Francis Babu, Honorable Gorit Namuga, and Honorable Dr. Lulume Baiga. And we're discussing the roadmap 2026 general election with the parties getting prepared. You know, electoral violence or violence in election is sort of almost every 5 years we expect that to happen. And if the by-elections in Kawempe are anything to go by, Ugandans get scared. Honorable Babu, what do we need to do to avoid blood during campaigns so that Ugandans shouldn't die because we're electing leaders? But this happens every time.
Yeah, I like that question, and I've been given that question several times. Of all the constituencies in Uganda, how many are they? There are about 300 and something constituencies, isn't it?
No, many more than that.
I know. I'm giving the constituencies.
40, let me get the figure.
Yeah, she's got it.
340 something. You know,
350, let's say, just for argument's sake.
Don't count the districts.
Okay, for members of parliament.
Members of parliament. Now,
yes.
I want you to tell me how many of those have had violence?
350.
How many? There's this narrative. There's violence. In how many?
Captain, even
no. Let's
can
answer.
Be one and two, and that's
no.
Many.
Let's answer that question. Out of 350,
let me refresh your mind.
Out of 350,
something back in Masaba land, Honorable Nandala Mafabi was shot at, injured. Yeah. Somewhere in Fort Porto, General Tumukunde was shot at, injured.
Yes.
Somewhere in Masaka, Mpuga was shot at, injured.
Yes.
There have been injuries.
How many are those?
But I'm giving you those are different regions.
What I want you to do,
no.
Well, before you make that narrative, I want us to have statistics. You've done a very good job. You've given me a few people who were, for example, Tumukunde was shot by his colleague, in fact. So as far as I'm concerned, we want to bring these ones out. The one which I think was very bad was that problem which was in Kampala where people were shot and some people died. That was bad. Now, let us look at the whole country and say, out of 350 or whatever it is constituencies, so many constituencies had problems. Is it 10%? Is it 20%? After we've done that, then you talk about that statement which is being made. I agree. Even one constituency should not be allowed to have that problem. I agree with you entirely. The question is, with our kind of politics, how many of those have got those problems, and what can we do to reduce them? I agree entirely with that. But this narrative that everything in Uganda is violent is not true. There are certain areas where they have had these skirmishes, and they've even had guns.
So what explains the violence of Kawempe just in the other by-election? That even people who are just doing their job, like the members of the scribes, the journalists like ourselves, were being beaten there. Yes. And taken to police, and then there's no charge, and then they're let to go.
In your opinion, was it only one-sided? Was it one-sided? Everybody who was in that Kawempe, and if people were being very sincere, is it one-sided?
So what do you
or is it? I'm talking about
the supporters of Nalukola were also.
The political class, our political class in this country, we want to be fair. What happened in Kawempe, was it one-sided? We need to get somewhere to give us true answers to this, because we seem to blame only one side.
Well, as far as I'm concerned, the reporters who were beaten by
I know those
apparatus that are
that's
in the government of Uganda.
That's a
yes,
different
it was
group.
one-sided.
That is very unfortunate, and we need to also investigate that one. I remember somebody going into somebody's house to get people who were who had votes which they were doing in the House. When they reached there, the votes which were being rigged turned into a number plate. Now, we need to get the truth about this. We need to get people to investigate this. I'm not saying it is wrong, it might be, but let's get the true answers, because I've got another side of it also, where people were threatened not to go to vote by certain groups of people.
Which group?
Oh, several groups. So to me, when you look at the journalist and use the journalist as the whole thing, it's unfortunate that some journalists were caught in the skirmishes. And it's very, very unfortunate.
So are you suggesting that in the recent by-election, members of the National Unity Platform were intimidating people not to go and vote in Kawempe?
Both sides had those problems. And I want to say this.
You're not speaking with clarity. You're not known to speak.
No.
So
in elections, you cannot have one side only. This is all I'm trying to tell you.
So
it takes two to tango.
You have it on good authority that
yes.
Loop was intimidating people not to vote.
You are the one who's using words.
So what is the word? So what is the right word, Captain Babu?
The people who are hired, the goons and whatnot, might not even be a party. They are used to do certain jobs. You keep on using you like to use the word NUP, NRM. No, there are goons in parties who are used, and they are used to do certain things. And I want
who is using them?
It's coming. In fact, the lady who was going to court.
Who is using the goons? Who is hiring the goons?
Oh, individuals in parties.
And what is their interest?
The interest is to destabilize the elections.
And what do they gain?
If people don't go to vote, they gain. If they go to vote illegally, they gain. There are people who are caught voting illegally.
So you actually subscribe to the idea that President Museveni said that in the last election, the opposition stole 1 million votes from him?
I did not say that.
That is you. That's your party chairman.
No,
he's on record.
That is what you are saying. You know, you like putting things in people's mouth. I did not talk about Museveni.
No, but
you were talking about...
Captain
I said,
Babu,
whenever there is a violence...
You have not spoken with clarity.
No, I have.
All I want is clarity.
In a violence, it's not one side. It's two-sided. Violence is not one side. You don't tango alone. There are people who also create, who provoke others. So it's not one-sided.
Namuga, did you provoke people in Kawempe? Did you intimidate people not to go and vote? Out of 200,000 voters, only about 20-something thousand turned up. What could have happened?
This is not the Honorable Babu I've known for the last few years. Today we have somebody very different. That is not the decent Honorable Babu. Because when he speaks about, it takes two to tango. I want to remind you, comrade and colleague, my senior, that we have a government fully empowered, resourced. One of the programs where we spend a lot of money is governance and security. Mm-hmm. A classified budget of close to 4 to 6 trillion under security and these others. Reason, keep law and order. That is the reason as why we were given money. We have a body, the Electoral Commission, in charge of giving a program on how we should flow. The reason as to why we have systems and structures and processes in place is because we anticipate those to break the law. But we give you the mandate, full authority, resources, and whichever you want, whatever it takes you to protect the people of this country. So when you come to rise up and say, it takes two to tango, the opposition provoked. I mean, you are being unfair to this country. You are being unfair. I want to give an incident where where people were beaten when the president, Honorable Kyagulanyi, was coming out of the NUP. You remember the NUP headquarters? Do you remember that saga? Where even other newspaper, other journalists were beaten? What kind of provocation was there? So we need to be fair to some of this. Yes, I know we can have a few characters here and there, indisciplined. But this is the reason as to why we resource them. This is why they are equipped. I want to ask the Honorable Babu, are you convinced with the deployment that there was in Kawempe during that election? Can you convince this country that, that was worth it? We ought to do that because we needed to provide security. Did we have to use all that force? And in any case, why did you have to kill people in 2020? Do you have to kill people for you to know that, we must have elections? Honorable Babu made a statement and said, how many are these? The violences, how many are these? Even if it was one. It is a violence. You know, Honorable Norbert Mao today appeared on the floor of Parliament when he was making a submission on the issues of the court martial, the Supreme Court ruling. And he said, you know, when you hear these people of opposition talking about prisoners, political prisoners, you might think that the whole country is in prison. We asked him, how many do you want to see in prison so that you can be convinced that we need to have justice in some of these areas? So I don't know whether, Honorable Babu and your colleagues, you've had a new training now of how to respond to issues. Because Honorable Babu has said, how many? Norbert Mao also asked, how many? So is this a new training for you to answer some of these questions? I want to tell the country, we can be better than this. We can operate better than this, Honorable Babu. We can accept in some areas, accept errors. You know, we all know that we have some of those, Norbert Mao today, Honorable, called them, we have some rotten eggs. You know, when he talked about the political prisoners, he said, you know, we have some rotten eggs. I was about to ask him that when you are imprisoned, we are also a rotten egg. So much as we have some indisciplined fellows, we have laws and systems in place to handle them.
All right.
So, no, Honorable Babu, is so unfair to this country when he makes such a submission. In any case, I mean, give up. If you cannot lead this country, give up. Give up. Give up. That's the only option that you have.
Speaking momentum, we'll be
no, give up, because he has started speaking in parables. Give up.
Dr. Lulume, does it bother you or does it even scare you that we are going into an election, but yet again there could be violence, even in your own, on your home turf in Buikwe?
Yeah, I faced violence myself in 2016. I was almost killed at Namataba. Where somebody, the DPC kept on calling me until they wanted to kill me, together with the people I was with. Yeah, I think I escaped death by a whisker, because I was a front runner in the election, but they thought they could get rid of me. So I was kept in for two days, and I was released on the election day, so I couldn't really deploy my, and that is how I missed the 10th Parliament. Yes. And, you know, there are elections which it is presupposed that they must win. For instance, when Mr. Museveni once is standing for an election, the command is clear. We must win this one. Then the Electoral Commission must comply, and then all the security forces or insecurity forces must comply. And they must enforce it so that they give a good accountability to their master. That this is what we have produced. You can go and swear, the rest they can go and investigate. That's a level of impunity we have reached. And it has been growing over and over again.
Proud of it.
You know, Captain Babu, you can
just a minute.
Yes.
You remember how the son of the president has been praising those people who have been clobbering people, and he promises he's going to give them even better ranks. Can you imagine? And he said so. And the president could not really kind of whitewash.
Oh, you
this
mean
kind
the chief of defense forces?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
He's the son of the
president. Son of the president, that you make it look...
yeah, but he's the son of the president.
Yeah.
And he uses that.
Look at him from
he uses that.
From the prism of CDF.
He uses that privilege, being the son of the president, to say whatever he says. And therefore that one, it carries with it promotion of violence. And you know what? And this is very dangerous. First, the Electoral Commission is in captivity. It exists in captivity because the Electoral Commission in itself should be commanding the police or even the security forces given to them. That is the law. But they just don't know that they even have that prerogative to ask for the security and to demand that security does A, B, and C. So security came and took over, and then they command by themselves. And then the Electoral Commission cannot even give an accountability of what kind of forces came into an election, including that of Kawempe, as you saw.
Captain Francis Babu, you see your colleagues, even before the elections begin, the perception is that the ground is not going to be leveled, the security authorities are going to be unfair, they're going to harass, and the NRM will do whatever it takes to win, even using other underhand methods. That is the perception. Is it just a negative talk, or there could be some truth in it?
I think everybody who goes for elections, regardless of the party, wants to win the election. Unfortunately, there are traits in this country, on all sides, that come out during elections. Some people use money, others use intimidation, others use blackmail, others use all sorts of things to try and win elections. And by the way, it is not one-sided. During these things, I've seen people threaten. They threaten others. They provoke others. I've even seen somebody using a hammer to beat a policewoman. I've seen somebody burning a police station. I've seen a lady slapping a policeman. So it's not one-sided. That's what I kept on telling you. There are people who are indisciplined and sometimes end up doing things that they're not supposed to do. They don't belong to any party. They belong to themselves and they believe in certain things. So when you sit there and talk about violence, we need to investigate it all, not one-sided. Madam here said, oh, I don't agree with what Captain Babu says. Well, for me, I like to have peace. I like a peaceful elections, but we must also speak the truth. When I say it doesn't take one to tango, I was just showing you that there's also provocation from different groups. Whether they are members of the party or whether they are hired to do a job, they're there in every elections. Even when when we used to stand during the movement system, there are people who even abused, who brought people to intimidate us, and all sorts of things. Even when we went to Multiparty, we had them also here in Kampala. It has been going on. It's not only today. So we need to change our behavior, all of us, regardless of the party. I am not going to see that everybody in NRM is bad and all the other people are angels. No. There are good people in every party and there are bad people in every party. And if we want to talk about bringing this country to a level where behavior is good, then we need to sit down and say, please get your party and make sure you discipline your members.
Okay, you're talking about discipline. Honorable Namuga, quite a number of young Ugandans, including your members, some are really angry, frustrated. Sometimes some of them feel excluded, and that anger, it makes people get emotionally charged. Do you really think if you have your supporters who are angry and emotionally charged, you can be able to rein on them, to be able to discipline where things go amok?
Who emotionally charges who? You know, I think we must be fair and truthful to ourselves. First of all, it is our duty as leaders to create hope to those that we lead. It's our duty. Through, giving the basics that they do require constitutionally. Now, if you say there is a certain group that is, that is hungry, one would ask why? Why is the anger? Where is it coming from? You remember a clip on social media where somebody said, I'm angry and I'm hungry and angry. He's hungry and angry. This is because people have lost trust in leadership. We should agree we've not given them the best. Talk about the youth, one will tell you about unemployment. Our parents pay taxes, where do we see ourselves? They will see these reports of equal opportunities, some regions being favored more than the others. Somebody tells you, why does the Western have 270 MPs, constituencies? Why? How far? How have you reached this level? So that inequality in provision of services automatically creates a group. It creates a group of casualties. And you will not dictate how these will respond to the current environment. So it is our duty as leaders, to bring hope to the people that we do lead by providing the basics that they do require. Otherwise, when we take the current trend, it is going even to get worse. You look at the Honorable Babu, their plans.
One of the reasons why I'm saying people could be angry, and yes, they are. I've already started to see some posters written on, and they're saying, and the new people who would want to run on the new platform, calling it a protest vote. When you protest, you're angry. And I'm not saying the anger is not justified, but there is some anger.
No, actually, we mean it. And I'm going to explain what a protest vote means. I've told you we no longer have elections. We go into wars, we go into battles. He was explaining how we maneuvered, but everyone saw the 2021 election and even all the by-elections that we've gone through. Now we are telling Mr. Museveni and all his colleagues that this time round, bring the police, bring the army, bring JAT in elections. We are going to stand as Ugandans and say no. We are going to protest all that kind of treatment. That is the whole thing. A protest vote, make sure that you look for votes. Gunned vote, I mean stand to protect your vote at any cost. That is it. Otherwise, we cannot see a government that is given resources to protect its own people. Then you turn the guns to us and you think we are going to keep quiet, Honorable Babu? You kill Ugandans in elections and you think we are going to keep quiet? That is why we are calling all Ugandans to a protest vote. This time around to show this regime that if you want to go into elections, they must be free and fair. If you have come, use the police to protect people, let it be for the sake of protection, but not causing anarchy and killing people the way you saw it in Kawempe. We are not going to allow that anymore, and we are not begging for it. Whatever they are doing must be constitutional. Honorable Babu and your colleagues, I told you, go back to the drawing table. Otherwise, this team is taking us for granted. Because somebody thinks that, I own this country and I'm at liberty to do whatever I want. No, we are telling you power belongs to the people. And we are going to show you that we are the bosses. We are the bosses, you are just a gatekeeper. You must follow the law in whatever we are going to do within the elections. Short of that, people are going to show this country and the world that power belongs to the people through a protest vote.
Namuga, you also know that during elections, or even on the election day, it looks like a military operation. Kampala looks like a garrison city, a garrison town of its own. So you know that sometimes you're also going to find the people who are armed and up against the army.
No, we are going to find them, and I normally tell you, these are our children, and we are sending a warning to them, a signal. We have been in Parliament pushing for increment of their salaries. They are telling us some of them have spent 6 months without being paid. We are pushing government to ensure that they are well catered for, in the interest of protecting the people. So it doesn't matter whether they bring the whole barracks in the elections. Whether they bring the whole barracks, then Mr. Museveni will kill the whole country. Otherwise, this is too much. We must have sanity when it comes to elections. Honorable Babu, we should have elections, not a war. And they stand to be warned. They stand to be warned when it comes to 2026. You just bring the chaos and kavuyo that you did in Kawempe, and you see what you are going to do, Honorable Babu.
Dr. Lume, you are a senior member of Parliament. You've been in Parliament before. You have been in this game for quite some time. And the NRM government led by Yoweri Museveni in every election, I don't know what method they use, but they have beaten you over and over again. In fact, even when they go into the election, this year they are like, bring them on, because they have beaten you before, they have a record to show they can beat you again. Do you think it is time now for you to, do you think it is time now to challenge the NRM juggernaut? You come together. What will it take for the people who are thinking in the same way to also come together? Why has that been so difficult?
Yeah, there have been trends and the aspiration of the population towards change of government, but many times the opposition has been disjointed, partly because of selfish interests of particular parties, and partly because they have been inspired to do so by the state. So there have been state-inspired division of the opposition, so that you cannot really put your act together. But history has taught us that the population has aspirations, and we must dance to the tunes of the aspiration of the people who we want to commit ourselves to serve. And that is exactly the command of the people. Now, these people have been deprived for a very long time, and they are seeing those in government earning and eating very big, very unfairly. It's not bad to earn a salary and enjoy that salary you have worked for. But when they see theft, unaccounted for funds which should assist them get out of the poverty, abject poverty they are in, year out, and they see people erecting buildings. It has not even ended in Kampala where they erect buildings, or in Mbarara or wherever it is. They have even descended on their lands. They have descended on the lakes where they are making a living. So they are angry. I want to say that the people are angry because they are hungry too. People are hungry and angry. I repeat, the people are angry. So for those of you who have established yourselves and you have some infrastructure, retirement packages and so on, you should be really worried about hungry people who are also angry. And the politicians will make them more angry because they know those who have been eating. And be careful about this.
You know that
nobody
about is also directed at members of parliament.
Oh yes.
In fact, there are even allegations moving left, right, and center that you guys have pocketed 100 million.
Oh yes.
And that alone puts you as a target.
Let me tell you, Kamara, any kind of allegation will sink in. And President Museveni has been a master for this. Whenever he's cornered, we expose how much money he has consumed in his classified expenditure, in whatever it is, agents of government taking over lands, forests, and so on, taking over the lake and the harvesting out of it, and so on. He just throws something into the population about members of parliament who are closer to them, so that even the anger is shifted from him and his government, goes to the members of parliament just to spread the risk. But I'm telling you, nobody will survive this anger. Nobody will survive this anger. And President Museveni should be very thankful to leaders of political parties, because they keep people on a promise that things will be better, Museveni will go. But once they see that Museveni is not going, he's eating the whole country, descending on people's small holdings, Bibanja, taking away what they hope to make a living from, for instance, coffee, investing it in almost private entities, investing money, which, I mean, we continue to have these discussions and people are listening. So they are hungry, and it's so angry that things are not happening and frustrated that the system cannot allow a fair competition so they can do anything. It is akin to what you see when the police arrests, you arrest somebody who has been caught culpable, caught red-handed with the theft, charged of theft. The next day is out of it and doing it again. Doesn't that explain to you why people take the law in their hands?
All right.
That's the precursor for mob justice, and it has happened.
Come back to because all of us have talked about anger. So, and these are leaders; they represent people from Buikwe, from Ogola. So that anger is there, and so it looks like underneath we are seated on a dormant volcano of anger. How do we deal with that?
They are going to start with them during these elections. I want to know how many of them are going to come back.
We don't
The
know.
anger will go to them first, because they are going for election. They are singing anger and they are putting themselves out. The anger is in the whole country, according to them. But we are going for elections. Every time we've had elections, nearly half of parliament does not come back.
More than that.
So more than half.
I'm using half because that's the one I knew. Now, that tells you that the anger is not only on one-sided. I keep telling you that the political class in this country should be very careful the way they utter their words. There is a provocation in their, when they are talking. You are supposed to go to the people and persuade them and tell them where the problems are, but you seem to have put a problem on one side. The problem is with our political class, all of it, and they need to wake up and realize that we need to find solutions, and solutions cannot be made by a propaganda of provoking only one group. No, there are mistakes. I'm not saying there are no mistakes. There are mistakes by government. There are mistakes by certain individuals, but you need to find a solution to those mistakes. There are challenges to us as Ugandans, and therefore we must find a solution. And the solution cannot be found out by you provoking one group or the other. All of us as political leaders must find solutions to our problem. There are many ways to skin a cat. There are people who prefer to use that provocation method. There are people who prefer dialogue. There are people who have said, no, let's find a solution by talking. There are people, I have realized in this country, who prefer every time to provoke, even individuals. They go on personalities. As far as I'm concerned, I don't care about personality. I want to find solutions to any of those challenges that face us. They face our parties have problems. By the way, Mr. Kamara,
yes,
most of the people who have formed these new parties, if you look at where they have come from, they've had a problem in those parties before they went to these new parties. If you look at the parliament, when we got new parties, we had young parliamentarians group, we had something called PAFO, we had something called Reform Agenda. Even the old parties also got a new thing where they were dividing, and they went into new parties. So most of the people in these new parties came from other parties.
And somebody is sending a message here that I should tell you that when you, at one point you're contesting against, I think, Kafumbe, that there was a lot of violence in your campaign.
Not violence, no. There was a lot of abuse, but I didn't make any violence. In fact, I was the one who calmed the people down. I was called all sorts of names. I was even called a son of a prostitute and things like that.
I remember one time you said that Kafumbe Mukasa wanted to strangle you.
No, I did not say that. I did not say that. I'm the one actually who kept on saying to people to calm down, because some of the things you said were provocative, and that's what I'm trying to tell you. It takes two. In my case, I kept telling people, no, we need a good elections. And my friend was doing the opposite. Now, I kept telling you that violence is not started only by party. By that time, we didn't have parties, by the way.
Yes, you didn't. Okay, and Honorable Namuga, how do we deal with this anger? I know you've talked about a protest, but how do you deal with it?
First of all, my honorable senior colleague is unfair to generalize this problem. Then leadership loses meaning. We have a head of state. Empowered, I told you, given all it takes, all the powers, sovereign powers, to give this country a direction. Then when my colleague sits here and starts lamenting as if we don't have leaders, then that is a misconception. No, you are lamenting, Honorable Babu, you are lamenting. So, if you, I want to tell you the problem is Mr. Museveni, 100%. I'm saying this with the facts. We've always talked about our budget. And we've already said, why don't we come? Please do.
Museveni is a reflection of all of us. We're the ones who have kept him there. Yes.
No, for me, it doesn't matter how he gets there.
No.
But there is a mandate.
You keep on saying him, all of us.
Honorable Babu, you've seen how, yes, I can to some extent say we've helped him to really keep there by changing the constitution, left, right, center, left, right, center being used. That I agree to some extent.
Yes.
However, I should inform this country that still he is the problem. Whether he has used the people, he has circumvented so many. Yes, he has used, and sometimes, I mean, it goes overboard. But I'm telling you, Honorable Babu, we have been cheated left, right, center through our own budget. Our own budget. And for me, I've always told the country, if we were to really have safety and sanity in this country, get back to this budget and, critique every line of the budget. That is where the problem is, Honorable Babu.
All right.
Money stolen, no accountability. If we are to have a solution, even because Museveni will go. But I'm telling you, you've dented this country 100%.
Not all of us.
No,
all right.
You've been...
This is what we're going to do.
You've assisted him to do so.
Our time is out. Our time is out. I just want each one of you, my panelists, to do your concluding remarks. Dr. Rudima, what's going to be your parting shot?
Yeah, thank you very much for bringing this discourse on this TV. We are talking about our democratic space, and that democratic space should carry with it peace And it should give us hope that this country can serve all of us better. That we can have elections which has a promise, an election that has a promise that anybody has a fair chance to win. And that when you win, the Electoral Commission should announce so, not to announce somebody who has not won, as the practice is. There should be a fair chance for everybody to campaign and to make his voice heard and to organize, not to be muzzled. The population deserves to hear those who are aspiring so that they can take an informed decision of who their leaders should be.
Thank you.
It cannot be a government that has been sitting in this country all this much, all this long, to prevent people from hearing alternative views. Actually, it should be this government to assist the population to listen to alternative views.
Yes.
They make their points clear that they can serve better as they have been serving. If that is the case, then they can be elected.
Thank you.
If they don't do that, let them know that a hungry population, which is also angry, will descend on all of us and nobody will be saved.
Thank you. Honorable Namuga, what's going to be your parting shot?
My only humble call is rule of law, as simple as that. Rule of law, respect the structures that there is in place to serve this country. We have systems, those are institutions of government that are supposed to, implement. We have leaders in the line of governance. Two things can help this country to really get to a better future. Respect the issue of governance, let's have leaders, not rulers. Respect institutions of government. I always tell Honorable Babu that there are two things that Mr. Museveni has done successfully, and I always told him to come and pick a cow for his boss. Come and pick your cow, because Mr. Museveni has successfully done two things. Number one, he has made useless the issue of governance. Leaders. That is why somebody looks at an MP as...
On that one, he earns a cow.
Yes, he earns a cow. Yes, he earns a cow. Number two,
told me that
he has deliberately killed institutions of government.
On that one, he earns
a cow. That is why, yes, those are two cows. So, Mr. Babu, come and pick them for your boss. Let's him have a drink of a cup of tea, cup of coffee. Because of that.
First and foremost, we should stop the blame game. There are challenges. We now need minds that can give us solutions to those challenges. In fact, everything we've talked about this evening are challenges. What are the answers? Now, there are many ways to get these answers. You can get these answers by being rigid. You can get them by being flexible. You can get them by sitting down and find an answer. The other day, a former minister stood up and said, "Your Excellency, time has come." You heard him? There was another one also said the same thing. So there are people who have said, the solution, Your Excellency, is this.
Exit.
All right? And nicely. But instead of the blame game and all sorts of things, let us find solutions to our problem, and they're there. I'm not saying they are not there.
All right. They forget that his name is Tibu.
Yes, Honorable Captain Francis Babu, Honorable Namuga,
Don't forget.
Honorable Dr. Lulume,
I'm getting my two cows.
Yes. I want to thank you so much, gentlemen and lady, for the time you've given us, for the submissions you've given us. I know Uganda, we're a good country and have good people. Sometimes my guests like these ones can look angry. Maybe you think they are at each other's throat, but they are not angry and they don't hate each other. Perhaps I want to think they love Uganda more and they disagree on how to keep and make Uganda to go forward. And this brings us to the end of tonight's edition of On the Spot. Good night and God bless Uganda.